For those whom I have not yet formally met, I'm Nancy Leahy Jacklow, a licensed teacher here. And I cannot tell you how delighted I am that you're here with us today. I'd like to give you a bit of my background, just a particular part of it. But I had been living and working in Sydney, Australia for 8 years and had completed my assignment and was preparing to return to the U.S. And I kept hearing this message that almost felt like an order to look up an old college friend whom I literally had not seen in a couple of decades. So upon my return within a week, I miraculously found him living in the Chicago area. So we set a date to meet. When he walked into the room, I saw someone who was aglow. There was an aura around him that was unlike anything I had ever seen. I ran to him, and instead of greeting him as I hugged him, I said, "What are you doing?" I mean, I wanted some of that. And he said, "I'm attending the Unity Church and studying A Course in Miracles." My reaction was, "What?" Clearly, I had no idea. Well, we set a date to meet at Unity Church in Evanston, Illinois, that next weekend. And it was there where I found and Unity found me on October 13th, 1985. Now, I will admit, when I walked in, I saw a poster in the lobby that said Practical Christianity. There was a really serious eye roll at the end of reading that, and there was probably also a I realize now that that was my Irish Catholic programming run amok. But I was able to breathe normally by the time we sat down. And the minister welcomed everyone by reminding everyone how the first principle of unity is that there is one presence and one power in the universe, God the good omnipotence. I experienced a physical, mental, emotional, and soul release. For decades of doubt, worry, resentment, confusion, and even fear that had deeply and frequently troubled me since my childhood. Now, in spite of that release, I didn't hear another word the minister said, but I did realize that I was hooked onto Unity and have been here ever since as an avid student of this astounding movement. I'm sure some of you know the story of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, co-founders of Unity, but for anyone not familiar, I hope that you will find the time to become familiar with these two spiritual warriors. I think it's important to remind us of them because their personal journeys seeking healing led them to uncover all sorts of amazing things, many of which is Bible-based. And of that, I particularly enjoy the 12 Powers because this is practical Christianity. Briefly, Myrtle had been told most of her life that she would probably get and die of tuberculosis because it did run in the family. Well, sure enough, she seemed to be moving toward the end stages of tuberculosis when she and Charles eagerly and together started seeking healing. Charles was seeking healing because at the age of 10, in the wilds of the edges of unsettled Minnesota then, he had an ice skating accident, and clearly his hip was not treated properly, nor was his leg aligned. So as he grew, one leg was 3 inches shorter than the other. Obviously, the man could not walk without difficulty and pain. So as they started to study, to discover, and to share the truth they uncovered and applied in their lives, they did begin to heal. And they formulated much of what is still the basis of what Unity articulates. Myrtle not only recovered from tuberculosis, she went on to have a third child. Charles, in the meantime, grew this leg as an adult, and by the time he died in 1948, they were almost exactly the same length. They both devoted the rest of their lives to sharing these powerful revelations that others might heal as they had. As we've been reminded by Reverend Carla last week, so far this year we've visited imagination, love, wisdom, and will, and this month we'll be exploring order. I would like to, from the 12 Powers in You book, share a definition of these powers as affirmations. Imagination is my ability to form thoughts, mental pictures, and positive images. This is often called visualization. Love is my ability to know oneness with all and to desire good comes to all. Love is my ability to share, to draw together. Love heals, harmonizes, renews, prospers, and unites. Wisdom, then, is my ability to discern, evaluate, and make decisions. And a particular favorite is will. Will is my ability to be willing toward God. Now we come to order, which is described as my ability to know what is important and to put my life in order. I begin to put God first. Order helps me to establish and maintain worthy personal and social priorities. I'm sure I'm glad I had that order to look up my friend, too, just thinking about it. But as I've been thinking about that word order, I realized how broadly it's used and how many varying meanings it has. You know, an order can be a command or a direction. An order can represent a sequence or a progression. We have an order of service here. It might be a formal order to purchase something, and there are at least 5 other meanings. So seeing all of that and the variations therein, I went to headquarters, as it were, and picked up Charles Fillmore's 12 Powers of Man, where in the chapter on order, these quotes leapt out at me. I have slightly altered the pronouns so they're a little more current. No bolt of lightning, we're okay. Mankind cannot grow into the understanding of spirit, nor be obedient to its leadings, if one is hampered by external rules of action. No man-made law is strong enough or true enough or exact enough to be a permanent guide for anyone. If you want to be God's disciple, you must unite your spirit with His. You can hear His word when you have erased from your mind all tradition and authority of men, and His word will never sound clearly in your mind until you have done this. Feel free to take a breath, kids. Pretty powerful advice from someone who clearly had gone through that process. So after I revisited Charles's words, I had a dream or a vision or an intuition or something, which I would like to share with you because I think it vividly ties into this idea of losing our old marbles, hopefully in a powerful, helpful, and healing way. So I invite you to imagine, use that imagination with me, and see a beautiful crystal vessel filled with sparkling fluid. This represented to me of how divine mind ideates us. Each of us is pure, unique vessels filled with divine powers and energies, ready to accompany, apply, and support us in limitless ways throughout our divine journeys. I imagine then that our souls, when preparing to manifest on this plane, choose how we will present ourselves for this journey, starting with the basics of gender, race, ethnicity, and family. As I heard each of those choices named, I saw a marble fall into the vessel for each one of them. I then realized how each of these choices trigger or are attached to all sorts of conditions, definitions, limitations, parameters, and rules that have been humanly constructed. They are fixed and handed down generation to generation. These marbles, if you will, represent how humanly fixed ideas begin to form our egos, our beliefs, and our behavior. But they interrupt the flow of divine energy into our consciousness. Now, fast forwarding, I saw marbles fall into the vessel connected with each decision, life experience that we might have. Health, family dynamics, our jobs, athleticism, religion, career choices. Literally, with each event or with each role we take on, we get taught, told, or required by others how to think, to act, or even be in a certain way to please them. Clearly, clogging our minds and easing God out. I saw each of these marbles as one of those external rules of action that Charles referred to. When we become the products of what we are told, we learn, we see, and we hear, these messages, experiences get communicated early and shape and formulate how we sense ourselves. These are the paradigms through which we see life and how it should be working. And they certainly have a powerful effect on the way we relate to each other. Every single one of our experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, gets lodged into our subconscious, and if unchallenged, continues to clutter up the pathway of access to divine mind, divine ideas, and the application of divine principles that are our true inheritance. The Fillmores gave us a wide and powerful range and useful ideas of how we can remove and neutralize those marbles, so our pure divine energies can flow unimpeded through us in every circumstance, thereby strengthening and expressing our good God-only personas. There's Myrtle's template statement of affirmation. She declared for years, "I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness." I'd like to suggest that we do the same thing for ourselves. We make firm the truth of our being and withdraw power from those man-made conditions and beliefs that we've been defaulted into. I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit others' limiting beliefs. I have to say, these days I'm hearing a lot of what I think odious and dangerous marbles. And so if you feel that one of those is activated, I might suggest you say, I am a child of God, therefore I do not even entertain others' corrosive, repetitive, absolute poppycock ideas. You got it, kids. So, back to the Fillmores. Charles' 5-step prayer process, it's very simple and can be done anywhere. You don't have to go a certain place, have a certain posture. I remind you that the steps are to relax, to breathe, let Spirit calm you. Concentrate, listen to that still small voice. It is unerring in bringing wisdom and love to us. Meditate, pray to be open to divine inspiration. Realize what is yours to be and to do, and to give thanks. Back to that reaction to practical Christianity. If that wasn't classic easing God out driven behavior, I don't know what was. But it has taught me that when those kinds of marbles start to activate, I must interrupt myself the minute I realize a marble has activated. I must breathe to consciously bring Spirit into my process, to release all power from that marble. And sometimes all I can say is, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. I breathe again and I ask, Father, show me how I may love others as you love me. And breathe. And as I listen with head and heart, I can trust that I will be guided by God only, good only motivations and move in that direction. There is something I've been wrestling with, and that's, would you like some homework? 4 of you seem to be okay. What I'm going to ask you to do is give yourself permission this week to try to be attentive to one of these marbles when they emerge. They probably are going to come with feeling a little bit off-center. And again, as Myrtle did, I am a child of God, declare, and withdraw any energy from that marble. See it pulverize, see it go into the ethers. And especially if it comes in connection with another race, another ethnicity, another religion, whatever. There is so much of that energy swirling negatively around the world. I am absolutely convinced that if each of us in our own life experience stop that kind of negativity from getting hold of anybody, we literally will begin to spread peace around the world. I would like to close with the daily word from Saturday, April 27th. This is, I think, one of the best I've read in how many years? I forgive and free myself. There are bound to be times when I feel hurt by the actions or words of another. If I am willing to forgive, I can rely on the divine power within me to free my heart from resentment and resistance. My intention to forgive is supported by divine grace, my path to healing and harmony. Forgiveness may not ease an error or offense, nor change another's behavior, and I do not need it to do that. It is enough that it helps me responsibly heal myself. This keeps my focus where it should be, on my own mind and heart. Freed from carrying grievance and hurt, I can move forward, knowing God, my strength and support, is with me. No one need know my forgiveness journey. In my heart, I feel gratitude for choosing forgiveness and finding freedom. And from Colossians 3:13, bear with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against you, forgive each other. Seeing all sorts of marvels being pulverized, kids. Thanks.